Hey guys, I know I say this every time, but where in the world did September go? I mean, don't get me wrong. I love that my longest runs up until New York are behind me, but wow. Here's what we have coming up for the month of October. October is all about the taper. Getting last minute details together, getting this gnat that's flying around, and packing, because the first weekend in November, the big weekend in the Big Apple, will be here before we know it. Okay, in other news, I have a few announcements and things to show you. First up is the medal for the platform 9 3/4 K, as promised. As always, the quote across the bottom, Petrificus, that is really hard for me to say today. Petrificus totalis. There we go. This was the 6th year of the run, and I think in the 6th year is when Draco performs this spell on Harry and then throws his invisibility cloak over him. Pretty sure. Let's open it up. Got different scissors, still haven't cleaned my other ones. Alrighty. I wonder what they're gonna do after the 7th year of this event. If it's gonna be a new annual event, or if they're gonna replace it with a different event, or start over, or what. Okay, so the ribbon has 2019 PHRC, and what is that? I'm not sure what that's supposed to be. Maybe some light from a spell, or I'm not quite sure what it is, but there's a different coloration going through the words here. Then on the front is the front of the train, as always, but we have a see-through invisibility cloak cloaking the front of this medal so that it makes it invisible. On the back, it says 2019, and it's a shot of Diagon Alley. I love Diagon Alley with Weasley's Wizard Wheezes. Whew, that's hard to say today too. There in the center, or with the top hat. That spell that's really hard for me to say today is across the bottom here. And these little shapes I think are supposed to be rack spurts, which is how Luna in the movie finds Harry. So, there we go. Secondly, I've had some people ask if I was going to run the New York City Marathon in costume, as I did in London. Well, while the Golden Snitch will not make an appearance, I will be wearing a costume. I just can't help myself. I don't know what's wrong with me. And I think it's time to reveal it. What do you say? Okay, here is a hint. It has to do with a certain meal at a certain jewelry store. That's right, I'm going to be Audrey Hepburn a la Breakfast at Tiffany's. I've always been a fan of both Audrey and Tiffany's. I even nicknamed my car Audrey. She's the classy type, and thought this race was the perfect opportunity to show that. Also, did you know that Tiffany & Co. is a partner of the New York City Marathon? Perfect, darling. I am going to open it up for Bible verse suggestions. As some of you may know, on each of my major race costumes, I will put a Bible verse. I did this in London with the Golden Snitch. My friend and subscriber Jenny commented below, and I used her verse for that race. So let's hear it. Comment below with what verse you think I should go with this time. All right, lastly, I have also been asked many times lately how to get started on this crazy rewarding running journey, or how to jump distances, i.e. 5K to 10K, or half marathon to marathon. I wrote a blog post about this on my website that I will link below. But I wanted to address some specific questions that I got from a friend. All right, Stephen, here we go. First question, how to build endurance and a beginner's schedule. To build endurance and a beginner's schedule kind of go together for me, and it's all about consistency. You can't just automatically have endurance, and you can't just go out there and run 5 miles, at least without significant pain. So what I would say to build endurance, build up consistent time on your feet. So for a beginner's schedule, it would look like a couple of shorter runs during the week and then a longer run on the weekend, and slowly bump up the mileage of those longer runs on the weekends. And so you can gradually get to the mileage that you want, and the more consistent you are with those runs builds your endurance. So that's what I would say. For a more specific schedule, you could always go to a personal trainer or use something like the Galloway plan, or there's lots of plans available for Couch to 5K and things like that. How many days do you train and rest? Typically right now in marathon training, I'm running 4 days a week. So I'll do 3 shorter runs during the week and my long run on the weekend. That is what works best in my schedule. As far as rest, I take that very seriously. As seriously as the run days, you have to rest. You could, and I probably should, be cross-training as well on some of those days between. I wouldn't personally, and I'm not a trainer, so just disclaimer on that, I wouldn't put strength days back to back, and I would have at least 1 rest day, if not 2. And especially once you get into really high mileage, I personally would take 2. Do you do any stretches, and if so, before or after? I am really bad about this one. I do dynamic stretches before a run when I do them, which is most often before a race. So dynamic stretches before a run, and I'll link a video to my friend Heather Jurgensen who talks about this, and also about cross-training and a lot of these other questions that you have. Definitely go check her channel out, Stephen. She's got more info on this. But I would do dynamic stretches before a run, and then I usually foam roll after a run, but I probably should do both before and after. So to your before or after question, change that to before and after. Do as I say, not as I do. It should be done before and after. Okay, Meredith? Okay. What to do when your knees are hurting, your shins are hurting, and your abs are burning? Well, my knees were hurting, and my feet were hurting, and a lot of that was solved with changing out my shoes, both getting proper shoes through a fitting or replacing my shoes, because I didn't realize that after 300 to 500 miles that they could be done as far as running was concerned. So that really helped a lot of my runner's knee and things. Heather also has stretches for runner's knee. And I think stretching would also really help with your shins hurting. Some specific stretches would help with that, and foam rolling and things like that. As far as abs are burning, I mean, running is always going to be uncomfortable, but if your abs are burning, you might be taking it a little too fast. Just slow your pace down and see how that feels for you. That would be my advice. What mile time should a beginner be shooting for? And there's a second part to this question, but I'll save that for next time. So what mile time should a beginner be shooting for? As a beginner, and I consider myself a beginner, I don't really shoot for time. I mean, sure, I would love to PR and I record my time, but it's not about finish time, it's about finish lines. They say go at a comfortable conversation pace. Well, running is never comfortable for me, but go at a pace that you feel like you could run all day. That's where you want to live. Second part of that question was, after X number of miles, how do you continue to keep that pace? That is the challenge. A lot of people will talk about negative splits, or that they want to keep that pace consistently throughout their race, which is something that your run all day pace will tell you. But any time calculator is going to tell you that after a certain point, your time is going to start creeping up. So my only advice to that is probably to find that pace that you can sustain for however many miles you want, and then you can slowly start trying to work on your speed if that's your end goal. But in the meantime, just don't start out too fast, because especially in races, we all got that adrenaline and we want to bolt off the start line, or we're feeling good at the beginning of the run and those first few miles are faster than they should be, and that really affects us at the end. So Keep it slow, steady. Again, consistency is key all throughout that mileage, and you might find more of what you're looking for. Hope that helped. I'm sure I'm missing a lot. I don't know. I think that about covers it. Please like, comment if there's anything else you think Steven should know, or if there's a topic that you'd like to see me cover. Subscribe, ring the bell 2 times for notifications, and I'll see you next month. Bye, guys. You know, the last time I wore orange, someone said, "Have you ever been told you look like a tangerine?" First thought was, well, at least it wasn't a pumpkin. Second thought was, well, a tangerine's kind of like a clementine, and a clementine is sometimes called a cutie. He was calling me a cutie. That's how my mind works.